Do not go see the new Conjuring Last Rites film out in theaters on September 5th. Hi, if you've never seen me before, or maybe you have seen me saying those exact same words over on TikTok, but if you haven't, my name is Bianca. I'm a spiritual consultant, a demonologist, and a psychic witch, and I am going to be playing the clip in a second of my video that gained a lot of attraction over on TikTok talking about why people shouldn't go see The Conjuring Last Rites in theaters, not overall, just in theaters. Do not go see the new Conjuring movie in theaters on September 5th. Hi, if you've never seen me before, my name is Bianca. I'm a spiritual consultant, a demonologist, and a psychic witch. And as somebody who has actual experience working with legitimate demons, not the demonic entities that will hurt you or trying to feed off of you that are shown in a lot of these horror movies, I have a PSA to give y'all. And I wanted to make a full in-depth YouTube video because I've made so many shorter videos over on TikTok breaking down my claims, why it's a PSA, why it's not trolling, satire, or anything of the sort. And so I wanted to kind of compile everything together in a more fleshed out way for all of you guys today. So that is what this video is going to be about. There's going to be a couple different points taking place. Please, please, please watch till the end before commenting. I know so many people love to just like see a title, comment, and whatnot, but I am going to be putting a disclaimer right at the beginning of the video, as you saw, about technically for legal reasons, everything I'm saying is alleged, everything is from a spiritual, psychic basis from a point of view, so take everything with a grain of salt. You ultimately do not have to listen to me. I'm not telling you what to do. This is a PSA. If you still go see the movie, I quite frankly could care less. That is you, that's your life, how you want to live your life. Please don't go commenting that in the comment section. I'm going to delete them. Nobody cares if you're going to go see the film or not. Nobody cares if you have seen all the other Conjuring movies and nothing ever happened to you. Good. There was nothing wrong with them. There's nothing technically wrong with this film either, which is why I keep saying you can watch it at home and a bunch of other things. But we'll get into that in a second. So stick around. I'm going to go over a couple different points coming from the Annabelle tour, what's going on with Matt Wright and Elton, and then just in general how you can safely watch this film and some spiritual things mixed in between as to why I'm making this PSA and giving you more of a spiritual context to understand how horror movies can negatively impact you. So the first talking point I want to get into is not necessarily about the Conjuring Last Rites film, but more so Annabelle and what was done in promotion of sorts for the film coming out now very soon in September, on September 5th, right? So for those of you who do not know, or I'm sure most of you do know, Annabelle recently went on tour and there was this whole hullabaloo over social media about her, people being like, Annabelle escaped, stuff is going on, because she was taken out of the Warren Museum, which has been closed to the public since 2019 after Lorraine Warren's death. So she's been locked away with all of the other relics and whatnot located within the War Museum for quite some time now. So for those of you who do not know, the Warrens founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, or NESPR. I have some notes up to fact check myself while I'm going through this with y'all. But this society essentially decided, hey, it'd be a great idea to take Annabelle and other things out of the museum on a tour across America in order to promote the new Conjuring Last Rites, because it's based on Ed and Lorraine's last case that they ever did before they stopped and whatnot. And I know so many of you people are going to be commenting that the Warrens were frauds, their cases were debunked, this and the third. Yes, I do not like the Warrens. Contrary to what some people may have inferred from my videos and me speaking on this subject, I don't like them. I really do not like how they treated the occult, how they treated demonic entities and other things like that. I just didn't like them as people, on top of all of the other allegations and news surrounding the couple and things that they were doing. So just all in all, I do not support them. I do not like them. But I wanted to talk about this because it is a bigger thing, and a lot of people really love the Conjuring series, and that's how they've came to know Ed and Lorraine and all of the stuff that ensued with them. But going back to the society that they founded against the couple's wishes and wills, because Lorraine Warren herself literally said Annabelle needs to be locked up in a cage and never be taken out of her specific cage that they built to specifically encompass and close her to keep her within. So that they were already went against that. So for this tour, not only was, Lorraine's wish for Annabelle to never be taken out of the museum and be displayed in a different way, not hurted people, they just didn't care on this tour. They also, like, then instead of keeping her in her original case for people to just view, instead of just moving the original case encompassing her, they literally took her out of it, stuck her into a brand new enclosure, a new case for people to be able to better see her and things like that. And it's just, all in all, some stuff happened on the tour due to this, because when you disrespect spirits, when you go against certain safety protocols and procedures, things are bound to happen. And to further put into context what was going on in this tour, Ed and Lorraine specifically built the case that was around Annabelle for people to just be able to view. The intended purpose of the Warren Museum, from my understanding, was just to showcase and educate more people on different paranormal things or occult things going on, but it wasn't necessarily for the public to be able to very directly interact with them and engage with them and whatnot. So not only is taking Annabelle out of the museum like strike one against what the Warrens were warning against, strike two is essentially letting people touch her, see her very, very up close, and some of the other relics on this tour, from taking her out of her original case into this brand new one. There is so much stuff that came out on social media. Like, I know the big plantation fire that happened, that a lot of people were like, "Oh, Annabelle's angry about what happened with slavery back in the day, and so she burned that plantation house down in the building that was there," and just a lot of other things that happened in New Orleans. I'm sure y'all heard that on the news. But more so than that, somebody died during this tour. And mind you, they still decided to keep continuing on with the tour after a death, but we're gonna get into that. Somebody died. The actual tour promoter and paranormal investigator heeding the Devils on the Run tour, Dan Rivera, actually passed away back in July. And that's just, I don't know, me as a spiritual consultant, as somebody who's extremely spiritual, once something of that scale, because somebody passing away is very rather serious, I would have cut the tour. Especially, I work in professionally in the events industry. I would have cut the tour. That's like a big no-no, but they still kept going on. They don't care. They need to promote the Conjuring last rites, right? They need to make their money back on what they're spending on this tour. It's safe to say, all in all, that Annabelle isn't necessarily happy. Now, I do want to address this before somebody is angrily in the comments, "Oh, they debunked the Annabelle doll. It's just a doll. There's nothing wrong with it. Yada yada yada." Let's say that's true, right? I'm going to give you some information spiritually on spirits specifically, right? So let's say that from the 70s up until now, when the Warrens originally um took possession and ownership over the Annabelle doll with everything that was going on. Let's say if the original spirit within the doll had been excised, removed, banished, whatever you want to say happened, right? And then it was just a doll. Because Annabelle has been used so frequently throughout the Conjuring series, throughout the history, and people learning about the Warrens, and I do believe there's specific movies about Annabelle, the doll herself, because so many people massively believe in, oh, that's a haunted doll, that's a demonic entity doll. Guess what? Your collective manifestation power can give birth to actual demonic entities, or, you know, beings or things across the veil. This is a more niche topic when you start getting into understanding divine beings, deity work, and whatnot. In that scope of spirituality, there is a concept called a pop culture deity, which, very in simple terms, is enough people believing in one singular fictional character, and everybody believed character so much in the collective manifestation, the collective energy put together, births, I'll put in quotation marks, a deity. And the example that I love to give for people is Loki, because so many people love the Marvel character Loki from the different Marvel movies, and he's had his own I believe show and movies, and Loki is very, very well known and very, very well loved, and a lot of people love Tom Hiddleston for acting in that role. But there is an actual Norse pagan god, Loki, that has been worshipped for a very, very long time, has very strong ties to Nordic culture, Viking culture. He is a legitimate deity that people pray to, Norse pagans pray to. And Loki, the pagan god, is a god as people have worshipped him throughout time within their own societies and cultures. I'm sure we can agree on that. Loki, the Norse god, is not Loki, the Marvel character. But so many people believe in Loki as this character that a pop culture entity has been birthed of Loki, like Loki slash Tom Hiddleston in that role. Because the Norse pagan god Loki is known for having red hair and looking very, very different than what Tom Hiddleston looks like while playing Loki within like the Marvel movies and stuff. So with that background context and understanding of the example I just gave you, when enough people believe in something to be true, true, it becomes true. So even if the original entity, the original spirit that was within the Annabelle doll was exorcised, it was banished, it's gone. So many people believe in that doll now that there is something in there. And the rest can be said for all of the relics within the Warren Museum, even if the Warrens were debunked and there's nothing wrong with that, like nothing wrong with any of the items, because so many people have gone to see the museum because so many people believe in these different things on top of the popularity of the Conjuring series. So many people are believing and have the ideology and belief in their minds that, oh, that is a demonic entity, a demonic haunted doll or a vessel. Because people are putting the energy forth towards that, it attracts other demonic entities, other trickster spirits to then go and now inhabit the doll or the vessel or whatever it is. So in either situation or either case, it's still not safe, and enough people believe in this stuff to keep feeding the entities or negative energy that is within these dolls and these relics. All of that being said, that is point number one, and why I keep bringing up Annabelle so much, because clearly, from people passing away and to fires and a bunch of other stuff going on, she's not necessarily happy. She was taken out of her case, out of her original holding place, which for spirits, being able to stay within the space that they know that's safe and protected is very, very important for them. So when you're shooting to move them around or do disrespectful things, they get agitated, and because spirits and demonic entities and things like that are of the earthly plane, they can mess with you. They can doors and knock over bottles and all the other stuff you see in different types of movies like Paranormal Activity. That is real. That does happen. You know, that is a whole, so that's already, all of that combined is reason to believe or safely assume, like, yeah, Annabelle may be not so happy and she may be wanting to do something about that, especially with so many people being like, oh yeah, she was upset and starting fires over New Orleans. Second and very important thing that we also have to discuss when talking about Annabelle is Matt Rife and Elton. Oh my gosh. So, for those of you who do not know, and just side note disclaimer, I don't like either of these individuals. I really, really, really do not like them. Did not like that elf campaign. Anyways, so Matt Rife and Elton, they both joined together to purchase the Warren Museum. So, they own the property and the land that the War Museum was built off of, but not the items within the museum itself. So essentially speaking, they now own like the property and the land that was sold to them, and they have ownership or guardianship of Annabelle and all of the other relics that are within the War Museum for the next 5 years, I believe. So technically, no, they don't like forever own Annabelle and everything else within the War Museum, but however, comma, they have leased or rented for the next 5 years to have guardianship over the doll and everything else in the museum. And with that comes the unfortunate power and decision for them to open the museum up back open the museum back up to the public, unfortunately, because like I said earlier in the video, it's been closed since 2019 after Lorraine Warren passed away. So it's been some time. They want to open the museum back up. They want to start having like live shows and other things going on in the museum and having people look at everything. And honestly, from a very spiritualist perspective, I would not go while Matt Rife, of all people, is having guardianship over Annabelle and everything else in that museum, because him and Elton, both of them, are extremely underqualified to be doing anything in relation to paranormal activity, occult things. I don't care if you like the Conjuring series. I don't care if you like watching Ghost Hunters and Ghostbusters. Like, I do not care. You're qualified. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to treat it as a haha joke, and then when your life gets ruined, it's on you. But my gripe comes from opening it up to the public and allowing just random innocent people to go in, and you have no idea what's going to happen to them, how they could get impacted. What are you going to do? Are you seriously going to take accountability if somebody gets hurt due to your negligence and your gross lack of credibility and requirements to be owning an occult thing? Like, I have no idea. I don't know. You're a comedian. Why is that on your bingo card? And it's honestly, it's really giving the same energy as all of those prank YouTubers doing really disgusting pranks that were not funny whatsoever. Like the Logan Paul Japan incident. It's like a lot of these YouTubers and people who are entertainers think that showing certain things or grifting towards certain things is okay when in reality it's not, and it's very disrespectful, and it could have negative or harmful impacts on the people who follow them, who choose to go to these places due to their involvement. With all of that being said, we are now going to get into why I spoke about that and why I made my Conjuring Last Rites PSA video over on TikTok. So, due to Annabelle having a new guardian, not owner like I mentioned in the video, but I made a follow up video discussing everything I just said, plus the recent events that happened on the tour and Annabelle being moved and shifted around and whatnot. I and a lot of other psychics have picked up that within the Conjuring Last Rites film itself, it is perfectly safe to watch at home. It's perfectly safe to watch like 3 months after the movie is released in a movie theater. It's safe to watch in an empty movie theater. It's safe to watch, I don't know, a year from now if they're playing a rerun in a movie theater if you're watching with a friend. All of those instances are safe to watch the film because the film itself is perfectly fine. I do believe after watching the trailer and kind of really studying it and whatnot, within the film itself, instead of there being negative energy or a negative entity embedded within the film, is like negative energy, negative entities and whatnot. I'm gonna discuss in a second how and why that's even possible, right? I do believe there's just something similar to a catalyst. So something that's embedded within the film that's lying dormant that will not be activated until there's further outside action taken, which is why I and other psychics have been warning about going to see this film on opening night in theaters on September 5th, or really within opening week, or honestly with a large packed theater and a large group of people around the time of the film's release. If you're insisting on seeing it in theaters, I am personally recommending to wait at least 2 weeks after the film has been released to go see it. Chances are the hype's going to die down a little bit and there isn't going to really be cause for what I'm about to explain to take place or to be done. But why the PSA is being given not to see it on opening night or really within the first week of the movie's release, because it is so highly anticipated. And with everything going on with Annabelle and other things, other spirits from the museum being taken and moved, um, I and other psychics believe that there's potential for a mass ritual to take place on opening night or within opening week. Essentially, to simplify what a mass ritual is and how simple and easy it is for one to take place, is understanding that a mass ritual just needs an enclosed space or a packed, condensed space of enough people to feed enough energy into the ritual that's being performed and casted, because the person casting the spell or the ritual or the spell within the mass ritual is essentially energy harvesting to feed whatever purpose is their intention for the ritual in the first place. So in my example with Astroworld, I'm saying, oh, the Astroworld incidents was so preventable from somebody who works in the professional events industry. It was so preventable. I literally have a degree in hospitality and event tourism where I had to take multiple classes on music festivals and tours specifically, so easily preventable that it had all of the deaths and everything that happened allegedly had to have been done purposefully. Allegedly, I have to keep saying that, I don't want to get sued, but if you look at everything, if you look at the documentary on Netflix, if you look at people's real life experiences and whatnot, it was very highly preventable. A lot of people are extremely upset about that. So under that, guys, and under that context, when you understand that, why would it have, like, what is the intentional reason then? What is the intentional reason? The intentional reason from a spiritual perspective is to have enough people to, unfortunately, and my heart goes out to the victims. I don't say this like in joke or jest. I genuinely like am disgusted by this behavior. It really rests me. My heart genuinely goes out to the victims. Like, I'm not joking about that. This is not satire. This is no, in no way, shape, or form meant to disrespect people in the Astroworld incident or in the Itaewon incident, but it's very serious. But to put into context of like what is the reason why somebody would willingly want their fan, like allegedly willingly want their fans to pass away, not, is to collect an energy harvest, their life force energy, all of the energy pouring out of them to feed into a mass ritual in order to allegedly make Travis Scott have more fame, money, and clout. And if you see, normally after a huge incident like that where multiple people pass away at something at a performer or something like that, normally their career takes a hit. Travis Scott's career has been skyrocketing and booming ever since Astroworld happened. And it's like so many people randomly forgot about it until this year when the Netflix documentary came out again, or just came out, and people started talking about it again. So if you think about it like that, because if there wasn't a mass ritual and you're like, oh, that's BS, like, I don't want to believe in that, why would an artist ignore all of the signs? Why would promoters, the event promoters, go against every single industry protocol? That there's so many, like, oh my God, I break it down in my Patreon post on like how deliberate the negligence had to be for something like Astroworld to happen. Like, I'm so serious. So, with all of that factual evidence for people who are like, oh, I don't believe in woo woo stuff, I only like scientific things, those are all facts. That is all black and white of what happened. What is the reason? Other than, oh, all of this energy is being harvested to boost Travis Scott's career and his fame and clout. What's the reason? Coming from that rather passionate example, sorry y'all, but coming from that perspective, that is how a mass ritual can essentially take place. You just need an enclosed space with enough people packed together with enough energy and emotion. And oftentimes, these events or mass rituals in public will take place in places or situations where people are experiencing a lot of emotions, right? When you're going to a music festival or a concert, you're super, super hyped. Like, you're like, oh my God, you're screaming, going with the crowd, especially like somebody like Travis Scott. The music's super, super bumping and loud, and it's just all of this energy. It's palpable. You literally feel it palpable. Anybody who's gone to EDC or some type of EDM festival, the energy is palpable. Not to mention all of the people doing substances and other things like that. The energy, it's going. People are super hyped. There's just all of this energy going on in the air. For the Itaewon tragedy, it was Halloween. People were super excited going out for Halloween, but then, getting trapped in a back alleyway, people start to panic. And when you're afraid, that's a very, very powerful, intense emotion that is pouring out. And if you think about the amount of people that were in such a small enclosed space, that's a lot of energy that can be collected and harvested for the specific purpose of the ritual being casted. And I broke down in that post as well who that benefited and why, because that one went a little bit more political than Astroworld. So I don't like to talk about it as openly on social media because I'm not trying to get sued by anybody's government, y'all. That's not my thing. So all in all, when you're taking all of that background context and you're taking it into consideration with the Conjuring Last Rites, this is the last movie in the Conjuring Last Rites series of a very, very, very loved franchise. Think of how many people went to see the last Harry Potter movie for such a loved franchise, or the Twilight series. People show up and go to the movie theaters. So, with that understanding, and if you think about a movie theater, especially the more advanced ones that have 100 plus seats, or they have 4K IMAX and the Adobe Atmos like surround sound, and it feels super, super immersive, or like the 3D glasses. If you're in a very packed movie theater with enough people around you, it's pitch black. Everybody is like screaming and feeling fear based on what's going on in the film because it's a horror movie. And then you feel super immersed in the film. You're in it. You enter like a trance like state, which allows the ritual to, and it allows it so easily to affect you, right? So I truly, truly just recommend watching it at home, because you watching it in your house, you know yourself in your house, you're going to feel safe. You're way less likely to enter a trance like state, because that's another part of these mass rituals. People tend to, it's not a requirement, but it's rather recommended or welcomed when you're doing these types of rituals, to have the people that are the targets within the ritual be in a trance-like state, because it's way easier for them to unknowingly like allow their energy to flow out, not really panic or feel bothered by somebody pulling and harvesting energy from them. Whereas if you're conscious and aware of what's going on, you're going to start screaming, you're going to start being like, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. You may start praying to like God, Jesus, whoever and whatever you believe in, the verse, whoever you believe in, you may start to pray and say, oh, I need help, like please protect me, XYZ, and that will put a blockage up and make it not impossible. I'm so sorry. I have so many people commenting, I believe in Jesus, I'm Muslim, I believe in Allah. Like, I totally respect that. Totally respect that. That is 100% your choice. I have nothing to say against that. However, you just simply believing in a God or whatnot isn't going to magically stop you from being affected by anything and everything spiritual. Deities, gods, divine beings have a limitation on how much they can affect and influence what is going down here on earth. Why else do you think we have war and all this other stuff? Do you not think, for all of the like people who are like, I love Jesus, Christians love Jesus too, I really, really do like Jesus. If you if you if you really believe in Jesus and you know what Jesus stood for and everything, do you think what would be going on right now in the Middle East, the war and all the other stuff going on, do you think that'd be happening, especially to his people, if like Jesus really believe in him and that he could protect you from everything down on earth? Do you really think that war would be happening right now, and like so many children would be passing away, starved like that? Do you really think, not, don't want to get banned or flagged here? So, watermelon. I love watermelons. Shout out to all of the watermelons. If you pick up what I'm putting down, do you really think that would be going on down here if deities and divine beings and whatnot could 100% impact and influence what's going down here on earth? The answer is no. And I'm so sorry to say that, not to hurt anybody's feelings, not to downplay anybody's beliefs, or not to say that anybody's beliefs are right or wrong. I'm just here to say that we wouldn't probably have all the suffering down here on earth and wars if gods and deities and whatnot were allowed to 100% like save everybody and influence what's going down here on earth. Going back to the film, you just simply praying isn't really going to do that much in the film, in the theater, if an actual ritual is being cast. It puts a slight buffer, but in the midst of an actual active ritual taking place and being done, it's not going to really do much to save you. What the only thing that's going to fully save you is you getting up and leaving. You leaving the area where the ritual is being targeted and cast. And what I believe is going to be happening, and essentially what my PSA was about, sorry we had to go through all of this background context. I'll leave a timestamp for people who just want to skip to this part in the description of the video. But essentially, the PSA was warning against, I do believe that knowing that there's a catalyst that's dormant until something external activates it within the film, I do believe Annabelle and potentially other negative demonic entities or spirits that are in the museum that were taken out and put on this tour and whatnot, and were disturbed, their resting place, their safe place was disturbed. I do believe all of that collectively is going to be reason for them, because spirits can also cast magic and do rituals and whatnot the same way that human beings can. I do believe all of that in tandem will be the recipe for them to want to try to conduct a mass ritual on the night of the film being released within opening week, because so many people are going to be watching the film. So many people are going to be packed in these movie theaters, and enough energy can collectively be harvested, because energy, I don't want to get super into this in this video either, because a lot of people don't care enough to understand why quantum physics and spirituality go hand in hand. I've made videos about it, talking specifically about quantum physics and whatnot in relation to the Conjuring Last Rites on my TikTok. Please just go watch my TikTok if you're super interested in that. I'm not going to really break it down here because it's not that relevant. But because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and energy can be embedded within films the same way that a negative energy or negative demonic entity can go inhabit a doll. They just need some type of a vessel, whether it's a doll or, in this case, a movie. They can get embedded in the film, almost like a PDF file being like stuck and hidden within some type of program or context, or not a PDF file, but you know what I mean. Sometimes you can hide things within certain lines of code. It's the same context or same concept within a film. So yeah, for I don't know what reason, maybe Homegirl is mad, maybe she just wants to wreak havoc. People are allegedly claiming that she's the one that started plantation fire. Who's to say that, with everything, her own personal feelings towards the Warrens and things of that nature, that her like funny haha way of getting revenge, or her way of saying like, hey, you shouldn't have taken me out of my normal comfortable place to let all these random strangers like touch up on me and all this stuff. Can you imagine? Like, let's say it this way. If you were a spirit and you unfortunately got trapped in some doll, and you're like, oh my gosh, at least they put me in a little like cage enclosure where I get to mind my business. Mind my business, these people can't touch up on me, and this, that, and the third. But can you imagine being taken up out of your case for random people to poke and prod and touch at you? You don't have somebody wash their hands. It's the same kind of concept for people who have very beautiful curly hair or different styles of hair or more cultural styles of hair. Why they don't like random people coming up and like petting them, being like, oh my god, your hair's so pretty, like what is it? That is very, very invasive. Spirits feel the same way. So I can only imagine the irritation of Annabelle and the other demonic entities or spirits kind of being taken out of where they were comfortable being held for so long and running around. Maybe this is their way of being like, screw you, don't just use us for clout for your shitty movie. So all in all, that is the very lengthy and very broken down spiritual analysis and perspective as to why there could be a mass revel taking place on September 5th or within opening week. Not to mention, on September 6th, it's also within Chinese culture, within Buddhist and Taoist culture. It is the Hungry Ghost Festival where they're honoring their deceased loved ones, spirits roaming around the earth and whatnot. It's very similar to the Mexican tradition of Dia de los Muertos, where they're also honoring their past loved ones and spirits roaming the earth and being able to come onto earth. And it's very close to Samhain or October 31st, which is traditionally the pagan holiday of spirits roaming the earth and whatnot. The veil is very thin. So that and other consideration as well, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of factors that could come into play that are just making this film, in my professional opinion and a lot of other psychics' opinion, unsafe to watch in theaters opening week, within the first 2 weeks of opening week. Watch it at home. Like, the safest bet is just to watch it at home. It's not gonna bother you, nothing's gonna happen. If you feel spooked or weirded out, that was the intended purpose of a horror movie. You're gonna be fine. If you truly sincerely think you've been affected by something, I've made other videos on my TikTok talking about how to cleanse yourself and whatnot. If you're interested in a video here on YouTube in depth about how to banish, cleanse yourself, protect yourself from negative energy, demonic entities and whatnot, comment that down below. But yeah, just wait. Or if you really, really have to watch it in person, wait until it's like at least 2 weeks after the release on September 5th and watch it in an empty theater. You should be fine. You should be good to go. You watching it 3 months, a year later, whatever, should be perfectly fine. And once again, to reiterate, all of the other Conjuring films are fine. All of the other Conjuring films are safe. You can watch them in the theater, watch them wherever you want. It's fine. And for some people that had been asking me, oh, is it okay if you watch like the Conjuring Last Rites trailer while you're waiting for another film to while you're in the movie theaters, that's also fine. I know a lot of people are talking about going to see Hamilton. Slay. I also love Hamilton. If that comes up in your trailers before Hamilton and whatever movie you're seeing comes up, that's perfectly fine. You shouldn't really be affected or anything like that. It really has more so to do with enough people sitting down and entering that trance-like state while watching the film for the prolonged period. And this can affect anybody all over the world because energy exists everywhere. It cannot be created nor destroyed. So if you're in Switzerland, if you're on Australia, if you're in New York City on September 5th, if everybody's watching that film relatively throughout the day and that spell is being cast, it can affect pretty much everybody that's watching the film at around the same exact time, no matter what place you are in the country or in the world, right? So it's you being in one place of the world isn't necessarily making you safe. So many European people love to say, oh, ha ha ha, this is such an American thing. Sweetheart, it can affect you too. Not exempt just because you're across the pond eating your beans on toast. You stayed until the end of this. Thank you so much. I know I rambled a little bit. Sorry, y'all. This was a lot to get through, a lot to conceptualize and put into a video. Let me know down below your thoughts. Are you going to be waiting to see the movie, a couple weeks after it's released in theaters? Or are you just going to wait to watch it at home? Or are you not going to watch it at all? What are your thoughts and opinions? Leave that all down below. And if you like this video, I would love if you subscribed, liked, did all that stuff. If you would like to book personal readings with me or learn more about spirituality and whatnot, I am a tarot reader. I am a professional psychic and medium. I do a lot of different things. My my Etsy shop down below where you can book with me directly is going to be in the description, as well as my Patreon if you would like more education from me, as well as to read the articles I was just talking about in regards to the Itaewon incident in Astroworld. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you're seeing this. Thank you.